survive this grueling test of strength and endurance? Who will be crowned the WWF King of the Ring?
A king is born, looking back at the 1993 King of the Ring. While we have so many WWE pay-per-views, or premium live events as they like us to call them these days, there was a time when it was the Big Four. However, in 1993, it would become the Big Five as the WWE would introduce King of the Ring in June to fit between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Today, we're taking a look at the first ever King of the Ring pay-per-view, the matches, the aftermath, and even what came before it. Before we get to that, we just want to say thanks for checking out today's video, and we encourage you to put on your crown and smash that like button with a royal scepter, just like the Macho King did to the Ultimate Warrior's head. A royal tradition. While 1993 would be the first King of the Ring pay-per-view, the WWE actually had King of the Ring events take place at house shows during the 80s and all the way up to 1991. The first ever King of the Ring in the company would be Don Muraco, who on July 8, 1985, would defeat the Iron Sheik to become the first ever WWF King of the Ring. For some WWE superstars, the whole King thing would really play into their gimmick. Harley Race would become King Harley Race, Haku would become King Haku, and perhaps most famously of all, we had the Macho King Randy Savage. As you can see, for years before 1993, the WWE had a real tradition of having kings in the company. We'd love to know in the comments down below which WWE superstar of the 80s you felt most embraced the King of the Ring gimmick. Setting the stage. Making the jump to 5 pay-per-view events in 1993 was quite a brave move. However, June was the perfect month for it. The gap between WrestleMania to SummerSlam was the biggest the WWE had between pay-per-views. Also, in 1992, they would no longer produce Saturday night's main events. They would still do other specials such as the SummerSlam Spectacular and the Survivor Series Showdown to promote a pay-per-view, but many fans felt like losing Saturday night's main event was a big deal. Getting a brand new pay-per-view in 1993 felt huge at the time, and in the weeks leading up to the events, the WWF did a great job of hyping things up. On episodes of WWF Raw, WWF Superstars, and WWF Wrestling Challenge. There would be qualifying matches to see which 8 WWF superstars would qualify to compete in the one-night King of the Ring tournament. It was a great way to get some big matches on the weekly shows, but it was also a clever way to hype up this new pay-per-view and make it seem like a big deal. Do you have any fond memories of the run-up to the first ever King of the Ring pay-per-view? Do you perhaps remember some of the qualifying matches? If so, share with us your memories in the comment section down below. The perfect venue. One of the most interesting aspects about the first ever King of the Ring pay-per-view was the location. It would take place in the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio on June 13, 1993. This is a pretty small building to hold a WWF pay-per-view. The attendance was around 6,500 fans. However, despite not being one of the larger arenas, it created a fantastic atmosphere, and you never notice the rather small crowd while you're watching TV.
WWE SmackDown Live in Dayton, Tuesday, June 20th. Tickets and ringsider packages are available.
The WWE clearly loved the venue, as they have been back on a pretty consistent basis, even filming a few episodes of Raw and SmackDown at the arena. Were you at King of the Ring 1993? Or have you been to another show at the Nutter Center? If you have, we'd love to hear about it in the comments section down below. The garnish for a royal banquet. Before we dive into the bit matches and what the King of the Ring was really about, there were actually a couple of other matches on the card to give it a bit more variety. The biggest match on the undercard was the Intercontinental Championship match between Shawn Michaels and Crush. In 1992, Crush had become very popular, so it was not out of the question for him to perhaps win the Intercontinental Championship here. However, he was in the middle of a fun feud with Doink the Clown, and ultimately Doink and his double vision would cost Crush his chance at championship glory.
You know what this is? This is an illusion!
No, it's not. There's 2 of them!
Double Doink!
Double 2 Doinks!
While the Intercontinental Championship match would keep the Crush vs Doink storyline going, as well as give Shawn Michaels a big win over a top-level talent, the other non-main event on the card was one that felt a bit more thrown together. There's an 8-man tag team match that most people have probably forgotten even happened on the night. It would feature the Steiner Brothers and the Smoking Guns taking on Money Inc. and the Head Shrinkers. These 8 men would only get a few minutes and the match never really gets going. But it's a fun bit of trivia that this match happened at the pay-per-view, as it's something many people have no recollection of. When you think about it, the whole Crush v Doink storyline was a strange one. Crush never managed to get his revenge on Doink for all that he'd done to him. It just kind of fizzled out. Let us know your thoughts on this. And if you remembered that the 8-man tag team match happened in the comments section down below. Now that is flash photography. The main event of the 1993 King of the Ring, excluding the tournament of course, was a WWF Championship rematch between champion Hulk Hogan and Yokozuna. The actual match is not as bad as many people make out. Hogan always worked well with a larger opponent, and Yokozuna still had a bit of speed about him at this point in his career. However, what people remember about this match was the terrible finish. The ring was surrounded by Japanese media taking photos of Yokozuna. One got a bit excited, jumped on the apron, and in trying to take a picture, the camera would flash fire and blind Hulk Hogan, causing him to lose to Yokozuna. It felt like a very hokey and silly finish to what was otherwise a decent match. It would have had far more impact had Yokozuna been able to beat Hulk Hogan clean right in the middle of the ring.
He shouldn't be up on the apron, it's a dangerous place to be.
Well, these pictures I saw.
Oh my God! What was that?
What are you guys' thoughts on the silly shenanigans at the end of this match? Do you think it hurt Yokozuna's championship run at all? Let us know in the comments section. The Hitman. Before we get to the actual tournament, a bit of interesting trivia is that Bret Hart was actually the last WWF King of the Ring, winning the title at a house show back in 1991. On this night, the 8-man King of the Ring tournament consisted of Bret Hart, Razor Ramon, Mr. Perfect, Mr. Hughes, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Bam Bam Bigelow, Lex Luger, and Tatanka. One thing that was pretty exciting was that both Luger and Tatanka had undefeated streaks going into this tournament. The two would technically keep their undefeated streaks, as their match would end in a draw, which then allowed Bam Bam Bigelow to go straight to the finals. Many people consider Bret Hart's performance at the 1993 King of the Ring to be one of the greatest in wrestling history. On his way to winning the King of the Ring, he would take on Razor Ramon, Mr. Perfect, and Bam Bam Bigelow. It's fair to say that he had excellent matches with all three superstars. Each match felt different and unique, and it was a true testament to how good Bret Hart really was. He may not have gotten to have had his shining moment at WrestleMania 9 a few months prior, but he certainly did here. There was no doubt after he rolled Bam Bam Bigelow up that he was the greatest wrestler in the WWF, even if he did not have the WWF Championship. Bret Hart had a legendary career. Where would you rank his performance at the 1993 King of the Ring in terms of his best work? It is good to be the king. After Bret Hart won the King of the Ring, they had a ceremony to crown him. His joy would not last too long, as Jerry the King Lawler would attack him and put a real beating on him. This would set up a feud that would run for a number of years, even resulting in the two of them having a Kiss My Foot match at the 1995 King of the Ring. The WWF would continue to run King of the Ring pay-per-view events all the way to 2002, Brock Lesnar being the last man to win the tournament at a pay-per-view. In an interesting twist, the winner of the 2002 King of the Ring got a title shot at that year's SummerSlam, and many felt this was a fantastic idea, and it could have been used had they decided to keep the pay-per-view going. In 2006, the WWE would bring back the King of the Ring, but it was no longer its own pay-per-view event. Booker T would win the first tournament, and he was amazing as King Booker. It has been sporadically used since 2006, with Xavier Woods winning the last tournament. Many people consider the 1993 King of the Ring to be one of, if not the best King of the Ring pay-per-views ever. It has quite the legacy too. Later in 1993, LJN would make a King of the Ring video game based on the tournament for the NES and the Nintendo Game Boy. Many years later, Mattel and Ringside Collectibles would make an exclusive action figure based on Bret Hart from this event. We would love to hear your thoughts on the 1993 King of the Ring. Where would you rank it in terms of the best King of the Ring pay-per-view events? Also, let us know your thoughts on how the WWE has treated the King of the Ring since the pay-per-view came to an end in 2002. Thanks for watching.